Hello world, I'm Chris Pirillo, and I'm really here. It's not just the floating head of me. I'm wearing a Shadow Trooper hoodie. See if I zip this up. I turn into a shadow here. You hear that? Just like a stormtrooper, but I'm all black. And when I say stormtrooper, I'm talking about a Star Wars stormtrooper. Because you know it's Star Wars week over on LockerGnome.com. I don't know if you've visited lately, but we've transformed LockerGnome into a fountain of geeky goodness. Every day and every week we have a new geeky or nerdy theme to follow. May the 4th is coming up on Sunday, so that's Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. I've got my Star Wars cap right there. I'm going to go ahead and take it off so that you can somewhat see me, and I've got my sleeves rolled up as well. Thank you for joining me live here on YouTube for the LockerGnome Daily Report, or TLDR for short, your daily dose of geek news, product views, and answers that you can use. Today we have 768 patrons supporting this fine endeavor. And despite what you may have heard in the Pirillo vlog today, we let a sex slip. No, we didn't have sex in the vlog. Don't go looking for that. It's a family vlog, by and large. We are a family. But I said he, or at least Diana said he. One of us said he. But we've also said she in the past, so we're going to be interchanging pronouns as we roll forward with that, unless and until we reach 1,000 patrons by the time she gives birth, which should be any month now. She's not here with me. She's visiting her family, and so it's going to be me flying solo. Huh? You want to be my Chewbacca? Because I'll be the Han Solo here, flying solo. Today is an amazing, tremendous, gigantic, fantastic day for fans. If you label me a fanboy, I'm a Star Wars fanboy. That's the only fanboy I will accept. Because it's in my lifeblood. I can't get away from it, even if I tried. And today, some bit of Star Wars news rolled out. The cast of Star Wars Episode VII has been announced. It had been rumored that some of the original cast would be joining a new cast for the new trilogy. What would you call them? Would they be the sequels? No, because there's the trilogy and then the prequels. So I guess they would be kind of sequel. I don't know what they're gonna call it. The next trilogy, 7, 8, and 9. But of course, Star Wars canon is now, at least for what it has been, and we talked about this yesterday, they're no longer accepting expanded universe stories and characters even. So we don't even know if Han and Leia got married. We don't know if they had kids. We don't know what's going on. We just know that Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, Anthony Daniels, Peter Mayhew, and Kenny Baker will be joining a new crew. And I don't really know many of the things that the new crew has done, except for a couple of the actors, including the guy who basically played Gollum in Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, or at least the character of Gollum. You don't actually see him, but maybe once in The Two Towers. He may have made another appearance, but that's the one the time that I remember seeing Andy on screen. And then Max von Sydow has also been seen in a variety of movies. I think he was in What Dreams May Come, and I enjoyed that movie. I don't know if many other people did, but anyway, huge news. It's kind of exciting. So it's possible that Luke Skywalker might come back as like an Obi-Wan type of character, at least in Episode 7. I don't know if that original cast is going to come back for the future Star Wars movies beyond Episode 7, but it is kind of nice. I get this warm, fuzzy feeling inside when I think about them coming back together on screen to reprise their roles. I'm giddy. This is the best news that I've had really in a long time, at least in relation to Star Wars. And mind you, I also received word that these exist. This is a product view for you today. Larry the Cable Guy, fried dill pickle, tater chips. Now, before you laugh, yes, you can buy them online. We'll have to blog about them so we can get credit in case you buy them. Diana bought these the other week, and she brought them home. She did not hide her head in shame for tater chips. Larry the Cable Guy has a snack, and I'm here to say, it's good! You want to try these. If you love dill pickles, you love potato chips, you're iffy on Larry the Cable Guy, these are absolutely worth it. All right. I know years ago they said it's rude to eat in front of people, but I assume that you're eating in front of me, even though I can't see you. All right. Well, go ahead and eat something, so that way we're not, like, totally rude and everything. Thank you to the patrons. Thank you, everybody who's joined the Patron campaign. Last night, I uploaded a 45-minute live video giving YouTube advice. If I can say that the right way, I've got chips all over the place. Thank God you can't smell my breath, huh? YouTube advice. People ask me all the time for YouTube advice. So I recorded another video about YouTube advice, gave some rather unique advice, and uploaded that just for patrons. So the next time you ask, stop yourself and ask yourself, am I a patron? And if the answer is no, become a patron, and then you can watch that video as well as the other unique videos that we've recorded for patrons directly. Over on my blog, in case you don't give a flip about Star Wars, in which case I say, get out! No, I love you, just the same. I've been doing AMAs on my blog every day, chris.pirillo.com, not to be confused with chrispirillo.com. And in the past day or so, I've answered the question, which piece of technology would you give up? How could iOS 8 blow us away? How do you know love is real? How do you implement a business idea? And how do you tell your story? So I answered these questions asked by you, the general community, including some patrons and some non-patrons as well. But I did this, or have been doing it, just to see if you guys really want me to do AMAs on a regular basis, at least on my blog, chris.pirillo.com. That's of course written. There's the LockerGnome website, in case you guys haven't looked. It's owned, or should I say pwned, by Star Wars this week. Next week, it'll be a completely different theme. But certainly, if you're looking for a good place to start with good stuff, including stuff that I don't have yet, Darth Vader and Stormtrooper salt and pepper shakers. All right, I could do that. I'm a Vader collector, by and large. Although, if it's Star Wars, I like it. Just assume that. Well, mostly. Jar Jar. I really hope Disney rewrites the prequels. I doubt they will. But speaking of Disney, this is kind of neat. By the way, the links that I'm talking about here, pretty much everything is in this video's description, so don't worry, you don't have to go digging for things. Disney Research has come up with a 3D printer that makes soft objects out of wool. And they recorded a video, too, to demonstrate, really, the value of something like this. And there's the webpage for Disney's research site. I didn't know they had a research arm with Disney. But there's the 3D object there, in traditional plastic, and then the same object only printed out in wool. Kind of neat. And I don't think 3D printing is anywhere near where it's going to be. I mean, it's obvious. It's technology. It's going to advance. I don't see most people picking up 3D printing for maybe another decade, and that's on the tail end of things, because it could rapidly speed up. Wow, I sound smart. In terms of advancement, I mean, we're not quite there in terms of usability. We're not there in terms of functionality yet, but we're getting there. And I'm excited about learning about these things, especially different materials that you wouldn't imagine you could use in 3D printing. But makes sense to me. Press a button and suddenly I have a little doll. It works. Of course, then you have to ask yourself, well, is it just as cheap, or does it take just as much time to go and buy the product rather than creating the product yourself? But there's a whole mishmash and, a thought process around the value of 3D printing. Suffice it to say, I think 3D printing will be here to stay. And whether we continue to call it 3D printing or that name evolves, label evolves, I couldn't tell you. I'm very happy to be, I would say, friends. We've moved now beyond acquaintances with Jerry, also known as Barnacles Nerdgasm. He's a great guy, and he's a font of knowledge. And sometimes he comes across in his own humorous style, but man, he's someone that I know I can ask him a question. He would tell me straight up whether he knew the answer or not, but he's very, very, very tuned in on where 3D printing is today and where it's going in the future. So if you're looking for a great person to follow in terms of 3D printing, I trust Jerry. So you should too. Microsoft Office for iPad just got updated to include printing capabilities. For some reason or another, that wasn't put into the first version of the product. But what's interesting about this, for those of you using Office for iPad, and I have it, I have an Office 365 subscription. I gave Microsoft my money. The value of Microsoft Office on the iPad. It isn't that they just released it and we're going to sit on it for another year. They've released a new version. I mean, it's a minor, a change. Adding print capabilities, adding different features within Excel to make it easier to format cells en masse. PowerPoint automatic. I can't remember the exact feature name, but where you could automatically or more easily align things with grids or guides. So they incremented quickly, and I think that's very telling. I'm very proud of Microsoft for a company, or at least for taking that initiative, taking that direction, instead of sitting on that feature, for longer than they needed to. So Microsoft is doing an amazing... I said that when they released it, but I think they're continuing to prove their amazingness with Office for iPad. Is it worth the money? If you need an Office suite and you have the iPad, you loved Microsoft Office, just know that you're in good hands. Is it worth replacing iCloud for? I don't know, because iCloud, free at this point. Or Google Docs, which doesn't really have a mobile solution that works all that well, at least on the iPad. And a lot of iPad users are out there. I mean, there are some Android, I almost said pad users, tablet users, they're out there. Just not en masse like the iPad yet. That may change at some point in the near future. Or distant future, who knows. Square, another disruptive technology, which very rarely do we talk about tech in the Pirillo vlogs, because I try to keep that more of the life and lifestyle that Diana and I live, and pretty soon baby Pirillo as well as the dogs, Wicket and Pixie. And I'm assuming you've met them by now. Is that a fair assumption? I don't know. I'm looking at my live audience there on YouTube. You guys tune in live, right? When I do these live broadcasts, I love doing them live because then I don't have to worry about video editing, and I hate editing video. Anyway, we talked about Square last week. Diana did, and she said in the vlog she'd never heard about Square if it weren't for me. And it's kind of nice because she sees it in the field and she realizes the technology's application in the real world, it means something, and that tends to be the type of technology that I'm interested in, rather than a technology for the sake of technology. That's boring. Puts me to sleep. I mean, tell me about how it's being used, how it's transforming lives. In Square, it just kind of kicked it up a notch. You can now take Square, use Square, you could use Square anyway, you can take credit cards in offline mode. So you don't have to be online to take the credit card. The challenge with that is knowing that you can actually take that payment. You can actually process that payment. Because, someone can give you a credit card that's bunk, and you basically pay for it, and you walk away, and you got the product or whatever it was, and you could have cheated the system. So I don't know how Square is looking into that, that part of the problem, if they are. But, hey, it's a credit card machine that can work in offline mode, so long as you trust the person who's handing you their card in the process. Square's a great technology. Love it. It is transforming small businesses in a way that I have always hoped something would. I love disruptive technologies. I really do. Sometimes it can be a challenge to keep up with, but Square certainly does help in terms of accepting credit cards in the field. Firefox. I've talked about Firefox before, as have many geeks in the world. You might use Firefox. If not, maybe you might want to look into it, because today, Firefox 29 is out. They've rolled out Firefox 29. The big deal about 29 is it is better than 28. That's really the big change there with 29 and 20. No. The big change is that Firefox now looks different. In fact, it looks more like Google Chrome than it does the old Firefox. So it's a long overdue user interface overhaul. In terms of user experience, just about the same. But, for those of you, and I would consider myself in this camp, who never really liked Firefox's UI, and I'm not talking about, you can skin the UI. No, you can skin the frickin' buttons. That's not the same. I didn't like, almost going all the way back to the very beginning, did not like the user interface of Firefox. But they finally created a UI that I think is pleasing. Now it's no longer tied with Opera as the fuggliest browser UI in the galaxy. Okay, on the planet. I cannot back up that assertion that it's the ugliest browser in the galaxy. Opera still has a ways to go with user interface, though. Good features. Questionable user interface. Difference between UI and UX. Remember, we had that conversation in this channel the other day, which I know many of you didn't see, even though you should open your eyes, open your hearts, open your minds. open the gear icon next to the subscribed button, and then check the notification to receive updates. When we publish a new video in this channel, you can be updated. You can be notified. Don't count on anybody else to do it. I mean, I tried. We send out push notifications by way of the LockerGnome app for iOS and for Android. See, you couldn't tell that I was holding up because I got black phones. I like black devices. Here we go. Come on. iPhone, turn on. There we go. iPhone and Nexus. Side by side. Oh, I got some news about Nexus, too. The messages I have here, one is from Diana. She's traveling, and she says, "Kay, go Star Wars! Yay!" And she's got a weird, this is kind of strange. The brightness, as I was going to show you, it fades. She's got a star gun bomb, so that's Star Wars. That's her Star Wars emoji. Good job, Diana. And then a message down below from Ryan Matthew Pearson. I keep calling him Matt because that's how I was introduced to him. Matt is one of the best producers that I know in the field, and I would love to work with him again on various projects, and it could happen as we continue to expand with the Patreon campaign, the engagement with the community out there. Let me go ahead and, I meant to start here, and then go into the first website, which we're featuring in TLDR. By the way, if you want your URL or your name in every TLDR, we're about to hit the month mark. Become a patron right now, as long as your what you've pledged goes through, we'll be good to go. If your pledge doesn't go through, we're going to have a problem. So check your pledges, and if you want, you can pledge at whatever level you desire, and tons of bonuses to go all around. Matthew, by the way, he's a patron too. But we were messaging back and forth, and he says, "I wish someone with some influence would start a campaign to get you on Star Wars." So if you want to, you know what? That's it. Someone needs to make it's never going to get 1,000 signatures, let alone the 100,000. A petition to get Chris Pirillo in one of the episodes. I'll be a stormtrooper, man. I'll put a freaking helmet on. Yeah, I'll do that. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm reasonable. I would love for it to happen. I just don't know anybody who's in the position to make that happen. Oh well. I'm very happy to be able to do this in the meanwhile. I'm biding my time. I get a roll on Star Wars. See ya! I'm done with TLDR. No, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. So that was that messaging thread. I don't make all the messages that I have with other people. I don't make them public. It just so happens that those happen to be on the screen, and I thought they were interesting to talk about at this point in time. Apple has updated its MacBook Air, so now it's $100 less than before and faster, running on the Haswell update from Intel, i5, Core i5, Core i7. So faster and cheaper. So if you like the idea of the MacBook Air, and I wouldn't say it's the best MacBook out there. I wouldn't even say it's the best quote-unquote laptop out there. But as far as a good starter system, a good Mac in general, a portable one, it's difficult to look beyond the MacBook Air. Most people won't need a powerhouse. The MacBook Air isn't necessarily for me here, because in this office, I'm running this live stream through a first-gen MacBook Pro Retina. So it's fast. This is my video processing machine. This is it's what it does. It's pretty much there for video processing, video editing, etc. It's what I use. I have an old Mac Pro. I was supposed to have had an alignment with a new Mac Pro, but that remains to be seen whether or not that's actually true. I don't know. Suffice it to say, I'm using that phrase a lot today. I'm happy with the MacBook Pro, but that doesn't mean that the MacBook Pro would be for everybody. I think most users out there would be very happy with the MacBook Air. Very lightweight, very powerful, has been powerful. Not necessarily the best. The screen quality is not as good as it might be on the Retina Display MacBook Pro, but most people don't necessarily see the difference or need the difference between the two. So this is a fantastic update. I love that it's more affordable and faster than previous generation MacBook Airs. Good update. See, if it was faster and cost the same amount, okay, it's an interesting update. But the fact that it's $100 cheaper and faster, bonus. Let me go ahead and kick in the screensaver here to entertain your eyes as I entertain your ears. I just discovered this today. I was surfing Google+, which, by the way, Google+ is going to be my topic for today's video. What would you do? It's I do 5 what would you do videos every week. One of them is public, the one I did yesterday, and 4 remaining videos are exclusive just to patrons. Come on. There we go. And so the one I'm doing today is what would you do with Google Plus? And I've got some, maybe not some solid ideas, because I'm not a product manager, not a program developer or anything like that, but I've got some ideas. So I'm going to be talking about that today in a separate video. I've got some good feedback already from a couple of patrons. One of them is someone who I would absolutely trust, and I know she's in the know, Lynette. And Lynette, how do you describe her? I met her for the first time at the Podcast and Media Expo in New York. And then she's always top of mind because there's a Lego minifigure that was made. And I said, swear to God, I'm like, this is Lynette. It wasn't really. I don't think it was modeled after her, but it should have been. She's like a personal Lego minifigure. No, that's weird. Anyway, I saw this website and service or software while I was using Google Plus today. And it's, check it out, andyroid.net. You don't have to, Chris, I can't see the link. Use the video's description. Why do you think I put the links there? For my health? My God, I wish, I'm sorry, I just spit potato chip on you. You'll be fine. andyroid.net. So you've heard of ways to run Android apps on the desktop before. BlueStacks is probably the most popular one. There's also something I found out, a competitor to this that existed, but it was somewhat limited as well. But Andy, or Andy-Roid, I don't know how you say it. Andy, I know it's got to be Andy the Android. It's free, and it seems to be the one to beat in terms of running Android apps on the desktop or interacting with your Android apps or on the desktop with your phone. It's free, and unfortunately, a Mac and Linux version are not currently available. They're saying that those two will be available at the end of the month. So if you want to run all your apps, your Android apps on the desktop, you now can. And a Mac and Linux version will be coming soon. Windows, I think, is the one that's currently available. I don't think it's going to tell me, Andy version for Mac and Linux due at the end of May 2014. You can join the beta list. So it's kind of a neat little addition. I thought it was kind of a cool thing. I'll try it. I'll give it a shot. I'd like to see what Android apps I could run on the desktop. The one I'm really in love with, of course, on every platform is If This Then That. And I activated two new recipes on If This Then That. One automatically sets my wallpaper when a new editor's choice comes in 500px. And then, this one's a really cool one, I can have this device, and much like I think you can do this with the If This Then That app on iOS as well. When you take a new picture on the device, it'll email it to you automatically. Love that kind of feature. So that is available on pretty much every major platform. Sorry, Windows Phone users, I wouldn't consider you a major platform yet. Maybe in another 6 months, we will see. Samsung, speaking of Android stuff, is launching the Galaxy K Zoom, a 20-megapixel camera phone. It's more camera than phone, but looks to be extremely lightweight, extremely powerful. If you're a fan of Samsung and you've been looking for more of a camera than a smartphone, that Galaxy line, or that part of the Galaxy line, should make you happy. Speaking of, I'm going to be doing a Twitter party tomorrow. That's going to be done in conjunction with Staples. I'm going to be talking or tweeting about the Samsung Galaxy S5. And we're going to be doing some giveaways. So, FYI. You like that? You like giveaways? Wait a minute. Let me guess. You're one of those people, I hate when people give stuff away. And that's what you sound like. That's what you look like when you're being all grumpy out there and you're commenting. I don't like it. No. I don't give me anything. Giveaways, they're all good for everybody. Some stuff's I'm willing to pay for some stuff, and other stuff, it's good to get stuff. It's who's gonna turn down getting stuff? I paid for these. Barnes & Noble actually delivered these properly, unlike the problem I had with Barnes & Noble, and I talked about it yesterday, so I don't want to belabor the point. Little microfighters with they say that they're unique minifigures. They say they're new. I don't know how or why. I might be building these tonight. My friend Slav, you've met him in the vlog. They're fellow vloggers, Jazz and Slav. They're doing a live Lego build, a drink and build hangout. So I'm going to be in a Google Plus hangout with them tonight, and I'm going to be joining them. Yes, I have some wine. I wasn't sure how my Larry the Cable Guy fried dill pickle tater chips would go down. You know what? I need to get these guys as a sponsor. I've decided this. I don't even know. Oh, it's from, look at that. Each purchase supports, this is kind of neat, the Get Her Done Foundation. Huh. That's kind of neat. All right. I was, kind of doing this tongue-in-cheek, but, yeah, that's kind of neat. I like products with a cause. I've actually thought about this, too, with what we do with the Patreon campaign. I don't know how to work it out or where to go because there's so many great causes out there, and I would love to help other people, but I haven't quite put a finer point on how to get that done because I think it would be on a revolving basis, and it's always about personal connection. I don't like necessarily helping organizations if I don't have a personal connection there, because when you have a personal connection, then you know that it's going whatever you're doing is going to the right place. Like when you guys become a patron, you know it's going to me to help me build a team, to help me do what I'm doing for everybody. So it's those types of connections that I'm always looking for. Yahoo is said to be launching a sci-fi adventure series called Other Space. I'll tune in. I'll check it out. I'll watch. Love anything sci-fi. We'll see if it hooks me. Yahoo's also trying to court YouTubers, although they haven't reached out to me yet. So I'm not on their radar. Okay. Annual profit for Angry Birds, Rovio, they're the owners. It's not the Angry Birds company. Angry Birds was probably the number one app that they had. The profit fell 52%. That's bad. I mean, but here's the thing. Those games are like a flash in the pan. I mean, you're interested one day, and the next day, you moved on to another thing. Very rarely do games like that, have longevity. I love Tetris. I'm a lifelong Tetris fanboy. Okay, I'm a Tetris fanboy, too. You can call me that. Star Wars, Tetris, Lego. What other kind of fanboy am I? Don't say it's... I'm not a tech... don't call me a tech fanboy. I don't like that, because I'm not. Anything Lego produces, I love. Not everything Apple produces, I love. Not everything Google produces, I love. Not anything tech related, I love. So you be careful. Call me a fanboy, but be specific. Okay, wait a minute. I don't like everything about Star Wars either. Screw it, I'm thinking about it way too much. I updated the Tetris app on here yesterday. They've got a mode that I really, really like on touch, where, normally you'd have to swipe to slide over. They've got a mode where you can basically, you get the next piece, and then it gives you some predetermined places, and then you tap that place, and then it drops it immediately in that spot. It works out very well for touch-based screen. I like that kind of gameplay for Tetris on that. George Barrett, a patron, thank you, George, told me about someone had modded a Raspberry Pi into a phone. Raspberry Pi, it's not just delicious, but it can empower your communications. Would you want to buy that phone? I don't know. It's more like a proof of concept. Still, it's kind of interesting when people make things that don't already exist, that wouldn't otherwise exist. I think that's where technology gets really exciting for me. Would I buy it? Probably not. But it's cool that someone made it. It's cool that any one of you could have done something like that. I look up to you. If you're a maker, if you're a programmer, you're a rock star in my world, man. Because I can't do... You're a designer. I can't do... Anything I can't do, I usually look up to. If I couldn't do it, I'll look up to it. So if you got skill and you love what you do, more power to you. Consider me a fan of you. I made reference to this earlier in the broadcast talking about Nexus. Google now has something called the Android Silver program. Now, allegedly, this is designed potentially to replace the Nexus, but really to rein in Android and where it stands, not just with software, but also with services and with hardware, too. So it's kind of, the Silver program is almost like what Google probably should have done in the beginning. There, I said it. They're trying to be like Android-ish, but kind of more like Apple too, but more Android-ish, but more like Apple Android. So I don't know how to explain it beyond that. I mean, that's a very, very simplified view, but effectively they're doing what they should have done in the beginning, and that is taking in the reins for Android, and that will benefit, or I can't imagine that not benefiting everybody, which means it should benefit you if you happen to love Android, or even if you don't happen to love Android, if you tolerate Android, if you like Android. Android and that Google experience will absolutely improve with the idea behind the Silver program. So I'm very interested in seeing what comes of it. one of my favorite Android devices is straight up Android experience right here on the Nexus 5. That's not to take away from any other Android experience out there necessarily. It's just that right now that's what I happen to prefer if I had a go-to Android device, because it's clean, it's uncluttered. I just go right to it and I'm good to go. It doesn't have the best hardware in it, and if I wanted to do something else with the Android device, I'd turn to another Android device. So Android Silver program, you may want to check it out. I'm not going to say it's a reboot for what Android is, but it'll be interesting to see how the marketplace reacts should Google pull in the reins, rein in Android. The chicken has come home to roost. The roosters are in the hen house. I'm mixing metaphors left and right over here, folks. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Gone about a half hour now, and I'm assuming that 90% of you have tuned out. You fell asleep. You've left me to talk to myself. That's okay. I'm like background noise. Here, wait. Are you asleep? Here, let me help. I'm white. That was noise. It was white noise. I'm going to be doing another live video here this afternoon just for patrons. What would you do with Google Plus is the question I'm going to be answering. If you want to know my answer, it's really easy. Just become a patron. But if you can't, it's okay. I really appreciate all the support you give, including remembering to like, share, comment, subscribe, watch even more of our videos right now on this channel or the other one. But at this point, I'm going to leave you to your own devices. We'll see you later.